to engage you further.
Okay, fine.
You don't know how to have a conversation.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
you can vouch. Shut up
for
while I'm
Timothy,
talking, right?
for
I asked you a fucking yes or no question. All right, Haiti, will you fucking shut him up?
Chat.
Yeah. So I just wanna respond.
Yeah, true. But I mean, we can, I just don't understand what, because I wouldn't want just that to be prevented. I wouldn't want all the kids that have, childhood cancers. I think that shouldn't happen.
Agree. Yeah.
But at what point is something allowed to happen? And we're basically just asking that there's no pain, suffering, or
I don't see
anything.
how this isn't a special pleading fallacy. So, like, presumably you think that when somebody's raping somebody or torturing somebody or something, you have an obligation to stop it, right? You don't think, there's no good place to draw the line, or I'm going to interfere with their free will or anything like that, right? But you would take it that moral goodness would be to intervene in that situation, right?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
But then it just seems like when you say God is morally good, you're just equivocating.
What do you?
Because he doesn't do that, right? When somebody's raping or torturing somebody, he doesn't stop it, even though he has the power to do so.
Right. So, yes. How is that? If morals are grounded in God, how is God?
What does that mean?
To those morals.
What does it mean to say morals are grounded in God?
Or God is the source of goodness.
What does that mean?
That means the goodness that's in the world comes from God.
What do you mean by comes from?
Comes from God.
That's just repeating it.
Yeah, it comes from God.
The point is, right, you're saying that it would be immoral, right, for an agent not to intervene to stop the torturer or the rapist.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, so it's okay for an individual not to do that?
I didn't say that either.
Is it morally right or morally wrong?
No, you're not being very careful with your language, because I presume you think God's an agent.
Oh, you don't think God's an agent?
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that's why I wouldn't have said what you said. That an agent has.
I'm starting to get a little impatient.
That's fine. Get impatient.
So, Eddie,
be more precise with your language.
Eddie, I don't think anything's going to turn on the precision. I think you're just dodging.
It absolutely is. Because you totally said something that I did not say.
Look, would you say that it's a morally good thing to intervene to stop somebody from, like, torturing or raping somebody?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say it's a bad thing not to do it?
For a human, yes.
That's why I'm saying it's a special pleading fallacy, because you throw in that for a human there.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. Right. So we're agreeing that you're just special pleading.
That's not special pleading. That's not special pleading at all.
Do you think God is morally good?
I think God is good, and morals is doing that in according with who God is.
So you're just saying God is not morally good then?
No, I didn't say that.
Is God morally good?
God is good.
I didn't ask you that. Is God morally good?
Moral, you're making a category error, because moral has to do with moral creatures, which are human beings.
God is an agent, right?
Look, brother, look, man, I'm not gonna get pigeonholed into these word games with you.
It's not a fucking word game, right?
Yeah,
God is an agent. God is an agent, right?
Absolutely.
God is an agent, right?
Yes.
And he doesn't intervene.
Right.
Right? And what I'm saying is, if you say, right, that it's morally good for an agent to do so, if they're morally obligated to do so.
I didn't say that.
Are we going to go over this again?
You did the same thing again. I never said it is good for an agent to do that. That's not what I said. Because if we're talking about agent, and God's an agent, that would include God.
So when a human being intervenes to stop a rapist or a torturer, is that a good thing?
Yes.
Okay. It's a bad thing not to do it, right?
Yes.
Great. God doesn't do it. That's a bad thing.
I disagree.
Great! If you disagree, tell me what the symmetry breaker is in the two cases.
Yeah, so we are the creation. God is the creator. There's a creator distinction. When we use categories like morals and oughts and things like that, we're talking specifically about us. Those don't. God doesn't have a moral standard.
Yeah,
God
just
can't
means
God can't do immoral things. That implies that there's some kind of morality outside of God.
Yeah. So that just means he doesn't act on the basis of moral reasons, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Right.
act on the basis of
He doesn't
moral
act on the
reasons.
basis of moral reasons, right? So I don't see why I'm not within my rights to say that as an agent, he's a bad person.
Go ahead.
Right?
You can say what you want.
Because he doesn't do the good things that we expect other agents to do. Right?
Right. So do you think he's equal to all agents?
He's equal with respect to being an agent, right? He has the same
In what
properties.
aspects? I mean, would you have any distinction at all between God?
What difference
and
does it make?
agents?
What's the relevant distinction?
That's what I'm asking you. Is there any distinction?
I don't see any relevant distinction, right?
Okay, well,
I see if somebody's fucking torturing a baby, right? And if I think that's morally wrong, right? If I buy into this stuff about that being morally wrong, right? And I think it's bad for somebody not to intervene to stop it, right? I don't see how God gets off the hook, right? Without special pleading. You haven't shown me any way that he does.
That's not what special pleading is.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. That's not what special pleading is.
What do you think special pleading is, Eddie?
I made it extremely clear when we're using moral language, we're talking about in regards to us. When we talk about oughts and things we ought to do and ought not to do, that is specific to us. God doesn't have oughts and ought nots.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't act on the basis of moral reasons, right? Now, why is it that he's not criticizable on that basis?
You're making a category error. You just made.
Why is it that he's not? Go ahead, Destroyer.
Are you saying that God is not a moral agent?
I actually have a question for you, Steph. I was waiting.
Well, if you don't want to answer, I'll just try to lay out the objection. Right.
I don't even know.
So that other people understand.
Okay.
I'd like to know
understand what the objection is. Yeah.
Hold on.
So I take it that.
I don't even think that. Oh, you're just going to keep talking? That's cool.
Well, I was actually
I don't think
talking.
That Paul even
he was in the middle of the sentence.
I was in the middle of talking, right? You said you didn't want to.
No,
you said you didn't like.
I said, is he
I asked a question. Yeah, I asked a question. You said you don't like talking, so I said,
Paul
well, okay,
I'll. Get to his
so I said I'll. Yeah, I said I'll
okay,
lay out the objection because you don't want to respond to it.
We want to fucking hear this. Jesus.
Yeah, because she likes to shoot her mouth off, right, and doesn't like to respond to objections she doesn't have a fucking answer to.
Well,
right?
No, it's just you.
Yeah.
It's particularly just you.
Yeah, it's just me. So somebody else can run the objection then, right? Now I take it that God, to say that God has a desire means that the desire is rationalizing an action, right? This was explained to Stephanie before, right? She didn't have a fucking answer to it the last time.
Yeah, I know. You're the worst, man.
Yeah. So, fail, right? He's an omnipotent being, right? He can't actually fail. So if his desire is rationalizing an action and he's an omnipotent being, he can't fucking fail, right? God can't fucking fail, right? Now, the thing that's interesting about this is that Arminians like to bring in this point about how God can't actually determine man's free actions as to how to respond to him, right? Now you guys will recall, right, we were trying to figure out why is it that a human being, right, would sin if he was designed, right, to be able to perceive the moral facts correctly, right? if he had perfectly functioning moral perceptions, perfectly functioning cognitive faculties, right? What would explain why he would sin? Do you guys understand the problem? Because it just seems like either he was coerced into doing something, or he was ignorant of the moral facts. But why would he be ignorant of the moral facts if he had cognitive and moral perceptive faculties that were designed correctly, right? So see, I'm just not really understanding, right? Like this idea about how God doesn't sit at the foot of your bed, right? Because surely he would want people to make the rational decision, right? I mean, is it or is it not the case that choosing God is in the best interests of people, right? Because if it's in the case, if it is the case that it's in the best interests of people to choose God, right, then what would explain why they wouldn't choose God if they understood the moral facts and if their moral perception and cognitive faculties were operating properly? What would explain that? Do you guys have any fucking idea what would explain that? Is anybody here? Because Stephanie's not going to tell us, right? Because she's just a fucking dodger who likes to shoot her mouth off. Is there somebody here who has any idea what would explain that?
Well, there's someone in the chat mouthing off, but he won't come on stage, so I guess he doesn't want to explain.
Sorry, say that again. That was kind of low.
Sorry, I just said there's someone in the chat mouthing off, saying you don't know what you're talking about, but he won't come up and debate you, so I guess he's just a...
Has anybody ever heard Stephanie give a fucking coherent answer to that question? You guys talk to Stephanie all the time. You ever heard her give a fucking coherent answer to that question? Because she wants to say it's about me, right? She doesn't like talking to me, right? Well, anybody could run this objection. Did she ever give a fucking coherent answer to it?
Well, she does believe that we can choose our beliefs, so maybe that might be part of her answer.
Yeah, we can't choose our beliefs, right? So why would God make it the case, right, that we would be coerced into having false beliefs? I'm trying to understand that.
Well, she believes
she's left. Just so you know.
Yeah, well, it's fine that she left. She's a fucking running dodger, right?
Okay.
I mean, that's what she is, right? She likes to shoot her mouth off. When you pose an objection to her, right, she takes umbrage, right? Because she wants to play her little schoolmarm game, right, rather than answer the fucking objection, right? She doesn't like the fact that she's treated, right, with just as much scrutiny, right, as if what she was saying didn't make any sense, right? She doesn't like that. But seriously, what's her fucking answer to the question?
She's not here, but maybe we'll ask her another time.
Well,
that's a shame. I really want to ask you something. Fuck.
The thing though, Jack, I'm Steph though. I agree. When I talk to Steph, the impression I get is that she is trying to give me the right answer for her dogma, but she's not interested in understanding my objection or my point that I'm trying to pick out. And I don't feel that there is as much effort to figure out what I'm saying to her as the effort I'm putting in to understand what she's saying to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely it, right? She's just annoyed, right, that people are actually expressing skepticism about what she's saying, right? If you just say, well, look, this doesn't make any sense, right? That's what she's objecting to. She just wants to be treated like a prima donna.
I have a quick statement I want to say about what she said. How we can choose our beliefs. If she believes that some beliefs are rational, but yet we can choose our beliefs. To me, I don't understand that. Like how, if we can choose our beliefs, like in virtue of what is a belief rational? Does anyone know like what she said? Has she ever like talked about that?
And I don't know if she'd have an answer to that. Because I think a lot of what she's doing, I don't think she's in depth in some of these topics outside of her own church and her own.
Yeah, she's just a fucking parrot.
Who are you talking about?
Talking about Steph.
I just don't understand. Like if we can choose our beliefs, yet some beliefs are rational. Like in virtue of what is a belief rational? I don't
think
understand that.
she didn't exactly say you can choose your beliefs. She said you can choose to like find the information that will change your mind. Something like
Well, that's just
Well, that
like
was a
I think most
revision
people
from her
believe
prior
that.
position.
I think that's what she meant. Well, there's lots of Christians in chat, but no one has the guts to come on stage. So,
Based on what she said, that's not how I interpret it.
Well, what she said before is that you can choose your beliefs. I mean, that's what she stated before.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer the question, right? Because the issue is going to be what explains, right, why somebody would choose to believe something that they had less reason to believe.
Wait, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can, Detroit.
Good evening, Jack.
By their lights that they have less reason to believe, right?
Well,
I'm just curious, what was the question that's the topic you guys are discussing?
Doxastic voluntarism?
And dividing him.
I thought we were discussing whether or not Steph was a good interlocker.
Well, if you can choose your beliefs, then maybe someone could choose that an irrational belief is rational. So that might be how she might answer.
See, the issue is, right, that they say this thing about how if God sits at the foot of your bed, then you're coerced into believing him. And it's not a free decision, right? But here's the problem, right? Presumably God wants people to choose what's best for them, right? And presumably it's supposed to be, right? Christians will typically say it is best for you to choose God, right? So why is it the case that people would not be given all the facts that would be required for them to draw the correct inference, right? Now she wants to say people choose to believe false things. And what I'm trying to understand is what explains why somebody would choose to believe false things, right, by their own lights, right? Things that they had good reason to believe was false, or better reason to believe is false. Why would they choose that, right, if they were in possession of all the facts that were required to make the correct decision, right? And if they had correctly functioning moral and perceptive faculties, right? Or should I say moral, cognitive, and moral perceptive faculties, right? Or it doesn't even have to be moral. You could make it epistemic, right? Epistemic perceptive and epistemic cognitive faculties, right? What would explain why they would make a mistake?
Well, there's a harder question here, though, that you're missing in some degree, which is they actually will also say it's faith, not works, and choosing to believe is work. So that won't work. So you actually have to just only have faith that God gives you. So it has to be implanted in you, not something you.
you want to let James?
Blessed are those who
I think James was
Yeah, I was
trying.
gonna say that's not what
We let the
Armenians believe.
I guess
James
nobody wants
answer.
Christians'
I'm
thoughts.
trying to let you talk, James. Can everyone be quiet? We've only got one Christian on stage.
I get where Jack is coming from. If you had everything laid out and you knew what the best decision was, but people just don't work like that. Like we choose things based on convenience or based on what makes us feel better all the time. So like I know what would get me down to drop 100 pounds, and I know the process, but am I wanting to do that, or do I want the third brat in the kitchen? So I think there is an inherent desire that even though I have the information in front of me, I'm not going to necessarily choose what is the better alternative.
Yeah, so that sounds like acrasia. Is that what you mean, acrasia? Acratic action? Weakness of the will? Is that what you're talking about?
If weakness of the will is what you mean by it, yes, I would say that.
Yeah, now what I understand weakness of the will is to be a type of malfunctioning, right? Because it seems to me you understand that you have reasons to do A, and you understand that you have reasons to do B, and you understand on some level, right, that you have more reason to do A than B, but yet you do B, right? So like you could have a model of something like we have, I think in moral psychology, there are models like this, right, where you have kind of like a perceptive faculty and you have a reflective faculty. And so the deliverance of your reflective faculty is at variance with the deliverance of your perceptive faculty. But in the moment, it's kind of like a short circuit, right? Your perceptive faculty trumps the deliverance of your perceptive faculty trumps the deliverance of your reflective faculty, right? But it seems to me that's got to be a cognitive malfunction, right? At least if we're understanding these faculties to be designed, right, to be truth tracking or something like that, right? And if you're designed to act on what you have most reason to do, right? If you're designed to be a rational being, right, which I take it is going to be that you're designed to do what you have most reason to do, it just seems like that's straightforwardly some kind of malfunction, right? But why would God design you to malfunction? Doesn't make sense, right? So question is, what explains the malfunction? How is it that human beings who are designed to be rational, right, do irrational things? I'm just not getting it.
So within my view, at least how I see humanity, we have a version of limited will, and so there's certain things that we can't choose, and I don't believe that we can choose the beliefs that we end up arriving at, but I believe that there's certain, like, we can choose certain books or certain things that will influence our beliefs, either to like, for example, Google search engines typically pull up the information that you want based on the pattern. But so when I'm looking at this free will choice or action, given that I have limited will, I think that choice supersedes the programming, in the sense that we're to want to choose to do the programming, but we have the option not to do it. And then that way it's more of a free decision and it's more of a loving action.
Well,
Like, for
you're calling free just sounds like irrational to me, right? You're saying that even though we were designed, right, to correctly appraise things, right, and to act in accord with correctly in accord with our correct appraisals, right, somehow we do the opposite, right? Now, we weren't designed to do the opposite, were we? So I'm just trying to understand what explains why we do the opposite, right? Because presumably, she keeps saying, right, God desires us, right, to choose him, right? That's what he wants, right? And that's why I was saying, does the desire rationalize an action? Because I'm not really sure what she means by a desire, right, if it doesn't rationalize an action, right? So presumably, if God can't fail, right, and he has that desire, he's going to succeed, right? And we're going to choose him because that's what he desires, right? So then they bring in this heavy machinery of, like, libertarian free will, right, as a way to explain, right, why we don't choose him, right? But you see, I don't see how that solves the problem, because there's still a puzzle there, right? Which is, what it would be rational to do, right, is to act on what we understand to be the facts, right? What it is that we think we have most reason to do, right? And so I'm trying to understand, right, why, if we understood the facts, right, if we understood what we had most reason to do, right, why we would do the opposite of that. It just sounds like you're saying for no reason. There's no explanation, right? Just some kind of random event that takes place, right? How is that some kind of an explanation, right? God designs us such that there are these random occurrences that occur, right? That's redundant. There are these random occurrences that somehow make us do the irrational thing, right? What is that? What's that about? I don't get it.
So
So
even though God desires that
hey,
all
Dennis, I was
men
just
be
wanting
saved.
to,
Oh, my.
Dennis, if you don't mind, I was just wanting to finish a few more points with Jack. So I think that while God has a will for us to choose us, I believe that he has greater wills and lesser wills. So he has a greater will that we have the free action of choosing him or not. His preferable outcome would be that we choose him, but because his main objective above that is that we have the free agency choice to choose
See, I
him or
don't, I
not.
don't understand this talk of preference, right? If it's not rationalizing an action.
So I like.
Because it seems like if that's what he would prefer, right, and then he's an infallible being, that's the action that's going to be rationalized, the one that he prefers, and that's what he's going to get, right? So that's not what he gets, right? So it sounds like he's failing, but yet you're saying he's an infallible being and he's failing, right? That's what I'm trying to make sense of. Now, what gets wheeled in here is this idea that human beings choose incorrectly, right? And what I'm saying is, I don't understand how that's some kind of answer to the problem, right? Because there's still a mystery as to why beings that are given all the facts that are required for them to make the correct decision, right, make the incorrect decision, even though they have cognitive faculties that are designed to correctly appraise the facts, right, and to correctly perceive the facts, right? They still somehow do the opposite of that, right? That's what I'm trying to understand. Why, if they were designed, right, to correctly appraise the facts, correctly perceive the facts, to reason correctly about those facts, would they somehow do what's contrary to what they recognize as in their best interests, right? I'm just not getting it.
I think we're talking past each other. I think you see God's main objective that everybody chooses him, but that's not his main objective.
What
So
I'm
you can have.
questioning is what it means to say it's his lesser objective, right? Does it rationalize an action? Does this lesser? Because I don't understand what it means to say there's a lesser will, right? Because if it's a will, I take it that it's doing something, right? There's a willing taking place, which means that there's an action that's being rationalized by beliefs and desires, right? Is that what you're saying? Is the lesser will rationalizing an action? Because if not, I don't understand in virtue of what it's a will at all.
So it's because the choice is the greater.
Let's just get an answer to the question rather than a
No,
monologue, right? Is it rationalizing an action or not?
Jack, you've been talking incessantly, and I haven't gotten a
Hey,
chance to
I'm
even
not
finish.
interested in the dodging and the bullshit, right? I'm interested in getting to the bottom of this, right? If you're not willing to play the game, you can fuck off, right? If you want to just start mouthing off about a lesser will and not tell us what that means, just go fuck off, right? Otherwise, answer the fucking question. Does the lesser will rationalize an action or not? Because otherwise, I don't understand what it means to call it a will at all, right? So what the fuck is it?
No, my issue is that you won't let me finish the
Yeah,
sentence.
it's a yes or no fucking question. I'll repeat the fucking question, right? Does the lesser will rationalize an action? Yes or no?
Once again, you won't let me finish.
Yeah, so you fuck off! Fuck off if you're not gonna answer the fucking question. Let somebody else step up to the plate, you fucking dumbass.
You sound like somebody.
Yeah, why do you keep talking? Why do you keep talking? If you're not gonna answer the fucking question, just shut the fuck up!
You are definitely.
Shut up!
This is like.
Shut your fucking mouth! Nobody's interested in hearing your fucking bullshit. We want an answer to the fucking question, right? If you're gonna say stuff about a fucking lesser will, tell us what the fuck that means. If you're not gonna tell us, just fuck off!
Like I said, you
Yeah,
kept
you keep
interrupting,
fucking talking.
and then you
You
accused
keep
me of
fucking
monologue.
talking. You can
We
answer the question? That's a yes or no question. You can answer the fucking question?
You have talked way more than I have.
That was a yes or no question, and I don't hear a yes or a no.
Like I said, you have
I'm
talked,
not interested in the meta.
and you're not interested in actually learning the
Okay.
position.
Who wants to hear this fucking bloviating piece of garbage talk some more?
I think the conversation. I mean, this is probably not
You understand,
going to.
Ninja? Do you understand what he means by a lesser fucking will if it doesn't
No, I don't
rationalize
know.
an action? Yeah.
I
Does
don't know what
anybody?
any of
Does
that means.
anybody understand what that fucking means? Because James isn't going to tell us.
If I could have gotten out 2 sentences without you
I
interrupting,
asked you a fucking yes or no question. What's the answer to the question, dumbass?
you have not let me talk. You just had
Yeah,
your
I'm not
way.
letting you talk because you're not answering the question. You're just wasting our fucking time. Does the lesser will rationalize an action or not?
Look, I can't help you with your midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But we can't.
All right. Why are we listening to this? Why are we listening to this piece of garbage? He's obviously just a piece of dodging garbage.
This is sad, Jack. This is
Yeah,
like
why
seeing
do
a
you
fall.
keep fucking talking? Does anybody want to listen to this bloviating piece of garbage?
I don't think the conversation is productive at this point in time.
Of course
Maybe we
it's
should be
not
careful.
productive. He's a fucking dodging piece of garbage who's talking about a lesser will. Nobody has a fucking clue what that means.
Yeah.
He's not going to explain it to us, is he, Haiti? He's not going to explain to us what a lesser will is he?
No, it doesn't make any sense because whatever the greater will is, it's the will, right? So it doesn't make any sense. Who else wants
Haiti, if I
to?
could have
Someone
had
was.
2 sentences, but
How about
instead,
just answering the fucking question, yes or no? Does a
no.
lesser will rationalize an action?
But like I've given Jack his fix, and
Yeah.
that'll yell.
What about answering the fucking
Other
question?
atheists who won't
What about
talk.
giving us a fucking answer to the question? Does it rationalize an action?
You know, we fed into the midlife
Yeah,
crisis.
so now he's just going to do some more meta. Why are we listening to him?
Let's just
Why
move
is he even
on.
on the stage? Yeah, let's just move on.
Let's either move on or James, could you, whatever you go, could you answer the question and then do your meta? Or don't talk at all and just move
I thought
on?
there was someone else
No,
who
no.
was
The
trying to
thing is,
interject.
like
Was
he accused
someone else trying to
me of
interject?
monologuing, but I only got
So
3 words out,
but that's
and
not what I
But I'm
said.
not.
This
Look,
wouldn't be
here's the thing.
productive if you didn't do that.
Is
He has to be respectful
who
to
was
me for an
who
adult
was the
conversation.
person
If he can't
who
be, it's
tried to
not going to
talk?
happen.
Maybe they can
Are you
talk.
being respectful to us by not fucking answering the question you've been asked fucking 20 times? Is that being fucking respectful?
I think it was Dan.
You get asked a fucking simple question, right? And then you don't fucking answer it, but you go on for 2 fucking minutes, right? Talking about stuff that nobody understands, and when they ask you to explain it, right, you refuse to answer the fucking question and then talk about something else. Is that being respectful?
Hey, Daz, I hope you put this up so everybody can see that
Of
I
course
didn't
he's
even.
going to put it up, because he's going to want to show what a dodging piece of garbage you are, just like Steph is.
Because this
Right?
is a.
You people are just a bunch of fucking dodgers, right? Trying to rationalize why it's a good thing that God killed 6 million Jews. That's the game that you play every day, right?
You know, I never
We're
said that.
tired of the fucking rationalizations.
Oh, sorry, I just got back. What happened?
Oh, Jack lost his mind in a midlife crisis, and
Yeah.
he was just
That's
talking.
not what fucking happened, you lying piece of garbage.
That's what
Right? What
happens, Jack.
happened is I asked you a fucking question and you didn't answer it. So why are you trying to spin it the other way? Did you answer the fucking question? Did I ask you a yes or no question or not? Did you fucking answer yes or no to that question? That's what fucking happened, is that you didn't answer the question. And now you're saying I have a midlife crisis, right? Rather than you're a dodging piece of garbage.
He's bearing false witness.
Is there anyone else that wants to engage with Jack on this issue? Or do we want
They don't have to engage with
Anybody
me,
want to talk to me?
right? But they could at least answer the question.
Who was it who tried? John said, God decreed the shooting will come to pass. John also said, the shooter could have done otherwise?
Well, there's ways that you could understand could have done otherwise there.
Well,
But it just depends on what he means by that.
Could have done otherwise means could have not done the shooting.
It just depends on what modality he's invoking when he says could have done otherwise.
Unclear.
Well, there you go. There's not a logical problem.
Well, there might be. It depends on what
not
modality you have in mind. Of course, he's not going to tell us which modality, because that's going to be his way of avoiding being caught in a contradiction.
That's right, yeah.
This is why Silver Star calls him a weasel.
Yeah, I mean, there is no contradiction.
If
you have Silver Star, he would take the same position.
Wait, you're saying what? When you say there's no contradiction, that's not an argument from ignorance, is it?
What I am saying is that
John?
there's not necessarily a contradiction, is what I'm saying.
Oh, so you took it back. That was easy. Cool. So easy.
And I've always said that. If you're claiming a contradiction,
actually, right now you just said there's no contradiction.
The weird thing is, though, is that he's saying that he could have done otherwise. So he must know what he means. Otherwise, why would he say it?
That's correct.
Yeah. So what's the modality there?
I think he means he wasn't determined. He had.
No, he's saying he was determined.
He doesn't know what modality he means.
But he's going to go away. He's going to find out.
Then what? Then it just sounds like he does. If he doesn't know what modality he means, he doesn't know what he's saying when he says.
Well, I do know what I'm saying. I don't understand your terminology of modality, but I do know.
Was it logically possible? Was it logically possible for the agent to have done otherwise?
Only in the sense that
your only hope is just suicide by mod.
Yeah, the only in the sense that there is a choice available for him to not murder, but he chose to murder. That's my point. He chose of his own volition to murder, and he was permitted by God to act out on his choice to murder, and that's what I'm trying to say.
It's not really an answer to the question.
And so the choice is available for him to murder and not murder.
I love that. That's not an answer to the question. He just moves on. It's not, how can I better answer your question? How did I not answer your question? Just moves on almost as if he doesn't want to answer the question.
Yeah, what was the question again?
Was it logically possible for the agent to have done otherwise?
That's a yes or no.
Yeah, I would say yes. I don't see the problem with that answer.
So God didn't decree that it come to pass.
He did. I mean, did you just not hear? There's not necessarily a contradiction there, Daniel.
Yeah, that's because he didn't know what you meant.
It's not. Well, if he didn't know what I meant, then he would answer, "I don't know if it's logically possible or not." But he did not say that.
No, he said he didn't know if it's a contradiction because he didn't know in what sense you meant could have done otherwise.
That's not.
Which is why he asked you.
That's actually not said.
So wait, I thought that John was a necessitarian. So you think there's more than one possible world?
Well, listen. as far as necessitarian, this is listen, I've been called all kinds of things in
I
terms
just
of
asked a
a
question.
skeptical
How
theist,
about just answering the
necessitarian. I don't
question?
know
How
these
about
terms,
answering the
Jack.
question?
I don't know the terms.
Do you think
So
I asked you, do you think there's more than one possible world?
I mean, the possible world scenario, I really don't know that much. But from what little I understand, there is no other possible world.
Yeah, so I don't understand when you say there's only one possible world, right? And you say the agent could have done otherwise. Why are you invoking other possible worlds, right? Because if he could have done otherwise, that means there's another possible world where the agent would have behaved differently. But you're saying there's only one possible world.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that there are other choices available.
But that's not what I'm asking you.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though.
I'm asking you, when you say could have done otherwise, does that mean in another possible world the agent would have behaved differently?
No, I just told you exactly what I meant by that. That he could have done otherwise, that meaning there was other choices.
Yeah, so I'm not really understanding what you mean by possibility, right? If you're not saying there's a world in which the agent, there's a possible world where the agent behaves otherwise.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a world where there are other choices.
So you're saying there are, you're not saying there's only one possible world.
No, what I am saying is that there is a world in which there is another choice, which is not to murder.
Why is he saying no? I don't get it.
And so that's what I mean by it. Maybe
You're saying there are other possible worlds, right?
No, I'm saying that there is this world where there is a choice of murder and not murder.
What does it mean to say that there's a possibility for the agent to do otherwise without saying there's another world where the agent does otherwise?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's my wording, but what I mean is that there are two choices, murder and murder, and so what I'm saying is that he chose to murder and he did not choose to not murder. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I'm saying that there is a possibility.
What's that issue is what it means to say.
There's a possible choice of not murder, which he did not choose.
Yeah, but if you're saying that it's possible that things had gone another way, how is that not saying that?
I did not say things could have gone another way. I did not say that.
What does it mean to say he could have chosen differently if things could not have gone another possible?
I'm saying that there's another available choices. Maybe the wording is such that how I worded it or how Daniel phrased it means something. But what I mean is that there are other choices available. That's
the question was whether it's possible for him to have done other.
Yes, the option is the possibility of not killing is certainly a viable option.
Yeah, so it's possible for him to have done otherwise. So you're not saying this is the only possible one.
Yeah, I mean, like once again, the possible world terminology. I'm just saying that there are other choices available.
But I'm not asking you that.
Yeah, but what I am saying is that in all.
It doesn't matter when you say what you are saying. I'm trying to get an answer to my question.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going in the sense of.
But what's the answer to the question?
If there's only one, yeah, you're saying that if there's only one possible world, then you're saying necessarily that he could not have done otherwise. That's where you're going, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so when I said that he could have done
So which
otherwise,
is it?
it's not.
Is it that
It's
there's
not.
more than one possible world or not? Get an answer from
Yeah.
him,
So in other
Tom
words,
and Haiti, because he's just gonna. You see the dance that he's starting now. So just get him to answer that question.
yeah.
He's so
So what I'm trying
terrified
to
of
say,
you're
I
playing
didn't say
chess
he
with him
could have
now,
done
Jack,
otherwise.
and he won't take
Yeah,
his finger
yeah.
off
So
the keys.
just
So
make him answer.
Okay, John,
yeah. So
did you
what I'm trying
understand the
to
question?
say,
So
yeah.
he's
So what
just
I'm
gonna
trying,
keep talking, right? He's just gonna keep
yeah. So
talking
what
in
I'm trying
order
to
to
say
stall. So
is,
Let's see
just
what he
don't
says.
let
Hold on.
him.
Let's see what he says. I want to hear what he says,
yeah.
and then we'll
So
try.
what I'm trying to say is when you say,
I don't know why you said for human beings, no, right? I said I'm talking about one paradigm, the good, which is given by some fact about God, right? Whether God's nature or will or desires, right? Good, so I'm glad we agree, right? It's not the case that something that ought not to be done, right, can justify something that ought to be done, right? If it brings about something that ought to be done, then it ought to be done and is therefore good and not evil, right? On this construal of the meanings of those concepts, right? So when you said earlier that God permits those things to occur, which you were calling evils, right, because they bring about a greater good, you misspoke with respect to this construal of the concepts, right? Because if evil is what ought not be done, surely those things ought to be done. If they and so they're not evil, right? So do evils exist or not?
Yes, they do. Of
Okay.
course they do.
Now if they do,
Would
look, I don't
contradict the
want to
will of
hear
God is
anymore.
evil.
I asked you a simple question, right? You said they do exist, right? Now, they can't exist because they bring about a greater good, right? We've settled that question, right? God doesn't
But
permit
that
them
is
because they bring about a greater good, because that's incoherent, right? We just settled that question, right? So that's not why those evils exist, right?
okay. So why do the evils exist then?
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand. If God is a perfectly good being, he seeks to maximize the good, right?
Evils exist because of us.
How about just answering the question?
I am answering your question. God is not the source of
Yeah.
evil.
Is it the case? Is it the case that God seeks to maximize the good? That was my question. Why didn't you answer it?
Of course, the divine will is to maximize the good. Of course, that's
Great.
God's will.
Great.
Yeah.
We agree. We agree.
Okay.
Don't say any more. Is God all powerful?
Yes, of course, or else it wouldn't be God.
God is all powerful and he seeks to maximize the good, right? And he can't permit evil things to exist for the sake of a greater good because that's incoherent, right? So now how is it that an all-powerful being which seeks to maximize the good and minimize evils could exist at any world where there's any evil at all? Do you understand the problem now?
No, because again, the evil is almost sort of I would say a necessary condition of free will. It's people freely choosing to contradict the will of God.
Okay, so let's look at it.
Therefore,
Let's look at what you said there. You can stop right there. Let's look at what you said there, right? So, let's take an evil action as an example, right? So, I don't know. What do you think is an example of something evil? The murder of like 6 million Jews? Is that an example of something you consider evil?
of course, that's evil.
Okay, the murder of 6 million Jews. God permits that to happen, and yet it's somehow an evil, right? Now let's just think about what this could mean, right? So, could God have brought about the best possible world, right? Which, given that he's a perfectly good being, he's bound to bring about. Could he have brought about the best possible world without permitting those evils, permitting the murder of 6 million Jews?
Yeah, he could. And the
Oh,
Bible
he
says
could
that
have. He
creation,
could
well,
have.
wait. The Bible says that God did create a perfect world,
I asked you whether he
absence
could
of
bring
evil.
around, whether he could bring about the best possible world without permitting the murder of 6 million Jews. That's a yes or no
I'm
question.
telling you, he already did that.
Sorry. We're talking about, this is not the best possible world then, right?
Those of us that believe in the Bible say that the world fell. That
It's not the
create
best of all
that
possible
that the
worlds, right?
right, it's
Yep.
corrupted. Yes, I
Great,
agree with you.
great,
Yes.
great. Is God's aim to bring about the best of all possible worlds?
Yes, and I
Yeah,
already
it's
said
his
that he
aim. It's
did
his
that
aim. It's
already.
his aim to bring about the best of all possible worlds, right?
Yes, and
So
again, he's already
he
done
can't
that.
he can't fail in his aim, is that right?
Of course not. Creation was perfect
Okay.
when it was first made. Yes.
I didn't ask you about when it was first made, right? I'm not asking you about that. I'm asking you if his ultimate aim is to bring about the best of all possible worlds.
Let me ask you a question real quick, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Who's responsible for the death of the 6 million Jews? The
Irrelevant
Nazis?
to
No,
the
it's not irrelevant.
objection.
No, it's not irrelevant because
We can
God
talk
is
about
not
that
going to
later.
God is not going to come down and
Yeah, all right.
stop the
This is
Nazis
taking
from
us off
pulling the
track. We can
triggers.
discuss
No,
it
it's not.
later.
This is
Yeah.
all
I'm asking
part of the
you,
discussion.
a question, which is it his ultimate aim to bring about the best possible world? His ultimate aim, right? Not his initial aim, his ultimate aim. Is his ultimate aim to bring about the best possible world? Yes or no?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So now I'm asking you, could the best possible world that he ultimately aims at have come about, right, without the murder of 6 million Jews? Was it possible?
Sorry, ask that. You broke up a little bit. Ask that question again.
Yeah. I'm asking you, his ultimate aim, the best possible world that he's ultimately aiming at, right? Could that world have been brought about? Would it have been possible for it to have been brought about without the murder of 6 million Jews?
Sure, it would have been possible.
Okay. God is all powerful, right?
Of course.
So he can actualize all logically possible states of affairs, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand, right, if it was possible for him to bring about that world, right, why he wouldn't have selected the path whereby it came about without any evils, given the fact that since he's a perfectly good being, right, his aim is to maximize the good and minimize evil.
Because he gave his creatures the choice whether to choose
Didn't
him
ask you
or not.
that. Didn't ask you
I'm
that.
I'm answering your question how
No,
this
you're not
okay.
understanding the question,
Okay,
right?
ask me the question again.
His aim is, we agree, his aim is to maximize the good and minimize evil, right?
That is the divine will, yes.
Yeah,
In a
okay.
nutshell.
Now you said that it was possible for him to bring about his ultimate aim of the best possible world, right, without permitting any evils to occur. It would be because that would make him a tyrant, right? And it's bad to be a tyrant, right?
Because I understand your point. I understand what you're saying. And again, I don't speak for Almighty God, right? So I don't I don't look into the mind of God. I don't understand. I don't fully grasp the wisdom of God, right? The Bible says, "My ways are not your
The
ways,"
point is that you've
says the Lord.
contradicted
So
yourself. If you understood the point, your point is that you've contradicted
I'm
yourself,
not
and that was
contradicting
not a
anything.
okay.
I'm agreeing with
I'm
you
going to explain the
that
contradiction.
he
I'm going to
can do it. I'm
explain.
telling
If
you,
you
he's
don't
not going to
understand
do
the
it.
contradiction, I'll explain it to you. It can't be the case that the reason why, right, God didn't choose that path, right, rather than the kill 6 million Jews path, is because that would make him a tyrant, which is a bad thing, right? Because you said he could do it, right? But God could not choose the bad path. It's not possible for him to choose the bad path because he's perfectly good, right? So when you said he could do it, and then I asked you why didn't he do it, right? You said, oh, because that would make him a tyrant, which is a bad thing. You're just contradicting yourself, right? Because God can't do things, right, that are bad. He can only do good things. Do you understand the contradiction now?
Yeah, I understand the.
Great. I'm glad you understand the contradiction. So that was a bad answer, right? So now let's go back to the original question, right? Which is, if it's the case, so are you standing by the idea that God could have brought about the best possible world without permitting the murder of 6 million Jews? Are you standing by that, or are you retracting it? Let's just get clear on where you are now.
God can do anything.
He can do evil things?
God is omnipotent.
He can do evil things?
Evil is the absence of good. So no, he can't do evil things.
Right. So he can't do anything. Right? He can't do evil things. Right? Now, let's go back to the original point.
My point
right?
is that God is not going to
I'm not
overpower
interested.
and
I'm interested in getting an answer to the question
excess
that I
from
asked
killing
you.
the.
I'm interested in getting an answer to the question that I asked you, which you didn't answer once again, right? So let's go back to the answer this time, right? Are you standing by the claim that God could have brought about the best possible world, right? Which is his ultimate aim. His ultimate aim is to bring about the best possible world, right? Are you standing by the claim that he could bring about that world without permitting the murder of 6 million Jews? Or are you retracting that claim? Which is it? It's a yes or no question.
I will say this: the state of the world is our fault, not Almighty God's fault.
You are such a fucking dishonest piece of garbage. I asked
That's
you a
not very
fucking yes or
charitable.
no question. Why didn't you fucking answer the question rather than give me that fucking gobbledygook, which I'm not interested in? Are you standing by your claim or not?
I don't.
How about being an honest
Here,
person and answering the fucking question?
You're asking two different questions. You're
I'm
asking,
asking
can
one
God do
question.
something?
I'm asking one question. I'll repeat the fucking question. Okay? If you didn't get it clear the first time, you should have asked me to repeat it. Okay? I'm going to be as clear as I can.
I'm not going to answer that question. So just.
Yeah. You know why you're not going to answer the question? Because you're a fucking dishonest piece of garbage. Right? Because you perfectly well understand that you can't defend your fucking position, right? That there's some way an all-powerful, all-good God could permit the murder of 6 million Jews where that's understood to be something that's evil, right? That's what I've exposed, and that's why you're not going to answer the fucking question. You fucking dishonest piece of garbage. Just fuck off.
Once again.
Yeah, once
Who is
again, why would I
responsible
want
for
to
this,
hear
for the death of 6 million Jews? God or us?
why would I want to hear anything other than an answer to that question, you piece of garbage?
Okay. I mean, Haiti, it's your room.
Do you want to hear him dodge the question, Haiti?
Game over. Game over. Lights out.
Yeah, that's fine.
You've just been completely obliterated publicly.
Shut up while I'm talking, right?
You've been folded like a chair caught with your pants down.
Will you fucking shut him up? I want to respond.